Hi guys, welcome to my third Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop tutorial. If you missed the first two tutorials, you can find them on my YouTube channel. In this tutorial I'm going to show you my workflow on this picture. This picture was taken in Rotterdam. It's the second largest city in the Netherlands, and on this picture you can see the Erasmus Bridge over here. It's one of the main sightseeings in the city and a very popular subject for photographers. And as you can see, this picture was taken with a long exposure time. It was 20 seconds, and also I used a small aperture f20 to get a large depth of field, and that's what you want with landscape photos. So what can be improved in this picture? Well, first of all, the buildings over here are quite dark, so I want to see more details in this part of the picture. And the clouds are really interesting thanks to the large exposure time, but there is not that much contrast in the cloud, so I would like to add some contrast as well. So let's work on the exposure first. Well, what I normally do is I bring the highlights down and the shadows to +100. As you can see much more details now in this part, and to get a little bit more contrast in this picture I use the whites and the blacks, and for every picture I would like to have a white point. And basically what I'm doing, I'm stretching the histogram, and now in this part the white, there is nothing. By using this slider and pressing the Alt key, you can have a look at the histogram. It's moving to the right, and I'm going there until I see some spots in my photo, and I see a few of them now, and that means there is a white point. So there are some white pixels in this area. I also want a black point, a little bit more than the whites, and by doing this, whites and by having whites and blacks, you're stretching the histogram and you get more contrast in this picture. Well, as you can see, just a few changes and already a big improvement of the picture, but we are there not yet. Another thing you can apply for landscape photos is the clarity. It works really great, and I will zoom in this part so you can see the difference better. For clarity I go about 40 for this picture, a little bit more, 50, and well, let's go back to 0 so you can see the difference. This is with clarity, this is without. So mainly in the sky you can see a difference too. And that's what I want. I want more details in the sky too, and there are a lot of moving clouds, and I want to show you the structure of the clouds better. And one of the things you can do is by adding more clarity. Also, sharpening is an important part of landscape photos. So I will move this. I will use this tool to zoom into this part. The lines here are a good reference point to see how the sharpening is added, and if it makes a big difference. It's already on +50. I will add even a little bit more, about 75. And the only problem with sharpening is that it sharpens the whole picture. So you can use masking to avoid that. So what you can see, everything is sharpened now, and by using the masking slider, only the white pixels are getting sharpened now. And as you can see, there are a lot of spots on my camera sensor, so I have to remove those as well, mainly in the sky. Well, noise reduction is on 25 now. Let's see if that's really necessary. I go to the darkest part in this picture. Let's go to this part here, and yes, there is some noise, so we go about 20, and that removes almost everything, so that's okay for this picture. Then another thing very important to do, and I basically do it with all my pictures, is the lens correction. Well, if you have Lightroom 3, 4 or 5, you can enable the profile correction just by checking this box, and well, basically Lightroom is doing all the work for you. And I also check this box, remove chromatic aberration. Sometimes there is chromatic aberrations, you see strange purple or green lines, well, in areas like this where there is contrast between darker and lighter parts. And for this picture, actually I don't see it, but just I always check this box, even if there's no chromatic aberration. It doesn't matter if this one is checked. Then one of my favorite functions of Lightroom 5 is the upright function. And what it does, as you can see, these buildings are not completely straight, and by just clicking on auto, everything is straight now. It doesn't work always, but for most pictures it works really, really great. Well, one thing I don't like in this picture is actually the composition. You see there's a lot of water here, and it's basically way too much. So I want to remove this part of the picture. Like this. I think it's much better now. Then we have some spots to remove, and there are a lot of them. There's one here, over there. Actually quite a lot. Well, you can use the spot removal tool, is this icon, and then you can use a clone or heal. Basically for spots like this in the sky, you can use clone. It's giving a good result. And one thing, if you print a picture on a canvas or a large size, then you will see every single spot. So it's really important to remove all those spots. And one of the options in Lightroom 5 is to visualize all the spots, and you can do that by check this box, and you can even use this slider to make them visible. So as you can see, there's a spot over here, here also, here at the top. So there are a lot of spots to remove. And let's click on all of those spots. And as you can see, Lightroom is looking for a replacement directly, and in this view I can't exactly see which replacement Lightroom chooses, but there's one trick to check that. So what I basically do, I select all spots first. Here another one. Let's see if I have them all now. There's a small one here. So I selected all those spots, and what I do next is I uncheck this box, and I can check if all replacements are good replacements. Because sometimes I saw it with, let's see, this one. Normally Lightroom chooses a spot to clone very nearby, and for this one there is a quite large distance between this spot and the replacement. But as you can see here, it fits really well, so that's no problem. So I think Lightroom has done a good job on this, so I click done to apply those differences. Alright, what can I do more? Well, I want to darken the sky a little bit more. In reality, the sky was really dark as well. So for that I use a gradient filter, and I apply them, well, first like this, and I will lower the exposure. And as you can see, the clouds are getting darker. But one problem now is that the bridge is also getting darker, and this building also. And well, actually Adobe uploaded a new video about camera raw 8.5 for Photoshop CC, and they added a new feature. And basically what it does is, when you apply a gradient filter like this, you have the option to use a brush to deselect the parts so like this building and the bridge, and then the filter is not applied on those parts. And hopefully this feature is also coming to Lightroom very soon, because I think it's a very valuable new feature. For now it's not in Lightroom yet, and I can go to Photoshop, but what I do, and actually what I basically have done the last years to avoid this problem, I normally use the shadows. And if you use the shadows and go to the plus, like plus 65, then the bridge and the building will get a little bit brighter as well. So then you can resolve this problem, or solve this problem as well. Alright, so that was the exposure. What can I do more? Well, actually I can bring the highlights further down. You get a little bit more structure in the clouds then. You can also add even more clarity for the clouds, and I think that works really well for this picture, especially in this part. So I will add even more clarity, and maybe even a bit more of contrast. Let's see. Also a bit of contrast. And well, this was before the gradient filter. This is with the gradient filter. So as you can see, that's a big difference. Then I would like to add another gradient filter for the bottom part. Why? Because I think it's a little bit too bright in this part. So I can use a gradient filter to darken it a little bit more. Not that much, but I just want to get more attention on this part of the photo. So by darken the downside of the picture, and the eye is always going to the brightest part of the picture. So by darkening this part, the eye is going to the middle part of the picture automatically. So just a small change, but it improves the picture a little bit more. Well, then I would like to add some lighting effects. Actually, I see another spot on the sensor spot as well here, so I will remove that one too. Oh, that's not going very well, as you can see. So I select this one again. I can try heal. It's not very good, so I will remove it by using the delete button. And what I will do now, I will just make it a little bit smaller, like this. Now it's better. Alright, some lighting effects with the Radial Filter. Exposure to plus, well, about 0.3, and I want to focus a little bit more on specific parts of this photo. So like this building, I just have to invert the mask, So the effect is just applied on in this part now, and I can duplicate it by, well, right click on this point, and then I can duplicate it and I can bring it to another part of the picture. And even you can do it in the sky. Skies are always, well, the lighting in the skies, you can't predict it. So even by well, let's do it here on this bridge and a little bit in the sky. No one will see this, so you can even do it in parts of the skies to get more attention to that part. Alright, so also on those buildings here, and let's see what happens if I apply it here. Maybe it's a bit strange, but let's check it out. Well, I think no one is going to see that, so I think it's very good. So you can see the difference before and after. And the last thing I want to do is a post-cropping vignette to get even more focus on the middle part of this picture. So like this. This picture has a little bit of a dramatic look, but I think I really like that. So, and by using a post cropping vignette, you get the dramatic feeling even more. So I think that's really important for this picture. And well, the combination of the long exposure and the dark moving clouds here, that's gives the picture a good balance. And as you can see, the brightest part of this picture is in the middle, and well, that's also the most interesting part of the picture, of course. So the buildings, the bridge, and that's the reason why I darkened the sky and the water to get more focus to the subject of this picture. So actually, this is a technique you can use to get more focus to the most important part of the picture. Well, thank you for watching this video. Next week I will make a new video, of course, and subscribe also to my YouTube channel to get updates automatically, so you're sure you're not missing any new video anymore.